Okay, just recalled something. Some things. Okay, so this is Pt.5, Pt.5 for real. So them crystals, what they call your different densities and shit, is really different dimensions, because what you call a shape is just a form, right? It's just an avatar that exists within different dimensions, and that can hold a soul, spirit, a mind, yes, all of that. So this is how you know that the physical man, like in the realm of illusion, that these things have a soul, a spirit, and a mind within them, which is why you are constantly reminded that plants are sentient. And yes, they do speak. They just they just make a free sound, what you call sounds, which is just frequency tones, frequencies at a higher vibration, which meaning on a higher in a higher dimension, a higher level of density, because there's no such thing as a liquid, gas, solid, none of that. There's no such thing as really even plasma. These are just forms of ionic energy, right? Matter, condensed into something that reflects, well, light, that holds light within it, which is why which is, if you recall, part 4, I was referring to the crystals within your avatar, which is just condensed light. And they look like they come in the form of crystals, and your bones is a crystal, right? A lower form of crystal that you call a metal, right? So they all have spirits and souls within them. So these are different ancestors, because they exist, but they also have flesh and blood, but they don't appear the same as your avatar, which is why it's an illusion, which is why plants hold lights, which is why the cells of plants hold lights, photon radiation energy, UVC rays. That's why they consume what you call vitamin D, A, B, C. All of them have it in there. What's inside of the realm of illusion is also a reflection of what's inside of you, what's inside of your avatar, desires and has a will for. Your ancestors are just there to remind you, and the ancestors are just the emotions, the energies that exist within these beings, plants, and organic animals, which are just animating minds that animate themselves, animals, animating minds of the gods, reflections of the gods. So it's just a if you wanna find yourself, remember who you are, you gotta look in nature, because that is the natural world. That is the realm of illusion. Now, the matrix is the realm of delusion. That's you choosing not to believe. You choosing not to trust. Basically, you choosing not to see yourself in nature. You gonna end up just not recalling who you truly are within this false jungle called the concrete jungle. You call it society and all that, whatever. Alright? It's just a place where people sell their souls. So in science, when you couple that with spirituality, these atoms are just ionic energies, right? Forms of electricity condensed to the point of where you see it as physical matter. And then it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and as it grows, you have these then they trick you into believing that it goes from a gas into a solid. No, it don't. The fuck? It's just condensing, because darkness holds light, so it's the only thing that condenses it into matter. And then you have gray matter, and then you have ionic matter, which is called light matter. That light matter is light, photon radiation energy, which the sun illuminates. You go back to part 1, the sun does the same thing. It's just a reflection of your soul's experience. So it's not that we didn't create it before we entered this realm as souls, because we are gods and we do the exact same things as all of the forms of mythology, which mythology actually means the philosophy of the soul, right? Wisdom, They call it life, which is really just the mind. So mythology is a lower form of philosophy, and then you just keep going and keep going. So mythology just means wisdom. It does not mean facade or lies, or even if it was fairy tales and fictions, fairy tales never meant fiction. Fairy tales referring to spiritual knowledge. The fairy's tale represents the sun, which is the portal from the physical to the higher dimensional spiritual realms, because that is made out of the same energy as your mind's your soul's mind, and then within that sun is a black dot, the soul, dark matter energy, which is what your soul is made out of. So that's how you know that everything is not solid, liquid, and gas. Because if everything was solid, liquid, and gas, you wouldn't be able to have something that they lied to you and tell you was a dream. But that's just a form of you waking up from your not your physical avatar, but from your avatar, from one avatar to another, which is what Avatar was about, which is what all the avatars was about. Avatar, the blue skin avatars, Avatar Yang. Yang is representing the yin and the yang, the mind within the avatar, and then the other one is representing, well, it's representing the mind within itself. Right, the mind reflecting back to you what it truly is, and then yin is the soul experiencing itself through this light, right, which is the mind, the mentum, the mirror. And then you have fire and ice and water and air and land. Physical manifestation of light is land, because plants take in light. Air is and your ancestral energy, etheric energy, energy itself, electromagnetic energy, just breath. And then you have water, which is your spirit, which is blood, right? Most of plasmic energy. And then you have fire, which is that one would be more so of your metals, because it takes you have to mold crystals from fire to create metals. Yeah, heavy metals and stuff like that. And then you have the ice. So all of these have laws to them. The law of air, the law of light, the law of breath, the law of land, the law of water, the law of plasma, the law of fire, the law of ice. These are all elements. Elements within the mind, right? So all of these things are within your avatar, your biodome, and that's how you know that these things are entities having an experience within this realm of illusion with you, which means they are aware. They have a mind of their own, right? And that's law. Denying your self-expression is delusion. So it doesn't mean anything for you to deny. That's just you tricking yourself. You choosing to trick your mind. That is a matrix. That's only if you trust in it. Now, if you ain't trusting in it, you just straight capping, nigga, that's playing. But there's a reason why you ain't supposed to be playing with nobody. Because the play is to act. Why are you acting, bro? Just be yourself. If you act, then you don't really know yourself. And the expression as to why a lot of souls have traumatic experiences is because they haven't recalled who they are yet. If you recalled who you were, if you remember who you are, if you were already enlightened, you would just heal, which is reminding yourself who you are. You just self-reflect, but you got to self-reflect to remember who you are. So all of the reasons why so many biodomes hold so much trauma in them right now, which resides in your circulatory system, your nervous system, and your organs, transferred also from your ancestors / spirits, is because a lot of them and you do not recall, remind, or remember yet who you are. You have not reflected your truest, your soul, utilizing your mind via your mind. So the spirit that guides you is your ancestors and your mind, your feelings and emotions. Use both of them, and that intuition will enlighten you to who you truly are and have always been, period. In the darkness, always in the light.